am Jim Sinacropi. Welcome to another edition of the FL1 Sports Podcast here on FingerLakes1.com, where we highlight local athletes, teams, and events from all levels and types of competition and competitive sports throughout the Finger Lakes region. Today we're joined by a pair of Victor High School juniors, about to be seniors, Ricci and Garrett Clar. Michael competes on the Victor soccer and tennis team. Garrett Clar was named Monroe County Player of the Year in basketball as he helped to lead the Blue Devils to the boys' first state title this winter. But we're not here to talk about their success on the court and field. Michael and Garrett both have an interest in sports broadcasting. They co-host a weekly sports podcast, and this spring they broadcast games for Victor baseball, the biggest one being the sectional final at Innovative Field, where they lost to Fairport. So welcome, fellas. Thanks for making the drive in from Victor. How you doing?
Thanks for having us.
So this is great. You know, like I said, we got one of the top basketball players in the state here with us, but we're not really going to talk about that. Maybe touch on it a little bit, but you guys are both interested in sports broadcasting, and one of the first things that you did was you created a new podcast. So Michael, tell me about the podcast and how that came about.
Yeah, so it's CR Sports. We started it, we were just talking in school one day, you know, we both have an interest, and really just starting a podcast is the beginning to getting into the industry in the field, and that's how we really started things off, got more comfortable as we've gone on. We've created more than 30 episodes, so it's gotten better as we've done it, and it's been really fun.
Yeah, so Garrett, it's like you mentioned, it gets better. You know, doing it the first time, you probably cringe going back and listening to that first episode, but what's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, you know, I think we just learn with every new episode that we make what works and what doesn't work. I think we've got it down to a point where it doesn't take as long to produce, and I think we really know what we're doing now, and I think we just continue to get better at it.
So obviously big sports fans, right?
Yeah.
I know you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, like your dad, yeah. And any favorite teams?
Yeah, I like the Steelers for football.
Steelers, and you just Yankees?
And then Cuse as well, we got to mention the Cuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Loving what they're doing, bringing Judah Mintz back.
What about Autry? What do you think about that?
I like the hire. I think it's really transformed the portal for us. Recent years, you know, with Boeheim, I feel like he's just going down a cliff recently, and players aren't really looking for that type of coach anymore.
Yeah,
I think Autry's more personable.
I love Boeheim, but it was, I think, time for change, and it is exciting seeing what Autry's done so far with the Orange. But where can people find your podcast, first of all? Where do you publish it to?
Well, we publish it on Spotify, and we have a YouTube channel as well, and most of our listeners see our stuff from Instagram right now. But yeah, you can find us on Spotify, and we just upload there through Anchor, which is really easy to do, and which actually Spotify for podcasters now has a change. But no, yeah, we mostly do it on Spotify, but we're looking to do some video podcasts with YouTube, as that's really easy to do.
Right. They actually started just recently, introduced like a podcast feature on YouTube. So you decide you want to do the podcast, and there's two types of learning curves. One is from like the aspect of being like the host of the podcast and creating the content and making it interesting. The other side's technical, like the equipment and how to post it. Just talk a little bit about what that's been like, you know, developing from the technical side as well as, you know, learning your chops on the content side.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of ups and downs. You know, you got to work through a lot of the technical problems. We have gotten better each season we've done it. So we've broken our podcast up into 3 seasons: season 1, season 2, and now season 3. Basically, we decided to do that by the sports season, how it started off. So season 1 was really the NFL college football season, beginning of college basketball. As we went into the playoffs, we started doing season 2 and more of college basketball and March Madness. And then for season 3, we've been talking about the NBA, and now MLB's back. So we broke it up that way. But progressively, as we've gone through the seasons, our equipment has gotten better as well. We were originally just using our cell phones, and then got the app, got it on the computer, got the mixer working, got the individual mics, and ever since then, we're looking to still get better at the technical side of it. But no, it's been some struggles and some audio difficulties, but you figure it out.
Well, that's a great way to learn anything, is just to jump in and start doing it. I mean, you could let a lot of people who have an interest in something, they spend so much time preparing and trying to learn. At the end of the day, you just gotta jump into it and do it, and there's no better way to learn something new than by actually doing it. So Garrett, you have any advice for any other high school kids who might be looking to at other schools who might have an interest in this type of thing as far as getting started?
I think the first step is just go for it. I mean, I'd always wanted a podcast, and everyone kept telling me, oh, you need to make one, you need to make one. And I was like, I don't have the necessary equipment, I don't know what to do. And then I talked it over with Michael, and we decided to just give it a go, and then we'd figure everything else out once we got started. So I think that's really the key step. You're not going to have the most expensive, best equipment right when you start, but really just getting started, just getting the content out there. And then as you go, learning and adapting and buying new equipment, and then eventually you'll start to figure it out.
So you got the podcasting, that's one thing, but you guys did live broadcasts of Victor baseball games this year in a season that led right up to a sectional final game at, they call it Innovative Field now. I always knew it as Frontier. I mean, that had to be an amazing experience. I'll ask you about that too, but obviously different discipline, right? A live broadcast of a sporting event versus, a podcast. Talk about the preparation as you prepared to do these baseball games.
Yeah, so what we've done for preparation is really looked at, it's hard to find stats for high school sports if you're doing it,
Yeah.
but Max Preps, they've been pretty good with getting at least everybody's name, number, year, positions. And then we've known Victor, so just talking to the kids on the team.
Right.
But at the game, you just got to be prepared for everything, every little storyline going into it. And we found that through talking to kids already on the baseball team and just doing our research online as well with how recent teams have been playing and really like what has happened in the past years with these programs.
Yeah. And what was the feedback from kids on the team and their parents and families, Garrett, when you start doing these games? They like it?
Yeah, I think the kids really liked it. I think it was a unique way to go back, and especially kids who want to play college baseball. We offered video so they can always go back and watch that, and I think the parents saw it as a unique way to listen to the game, especially if they couldn't make it. They could tune in later online, but I definitely think it was positive feedback, and I hope we can continue to do it in the future.
Anything that surprised you when you started doing like the live sports that you didn't expect?
You know, everything you want it to be perfect originally, but there's going to be some flaws. And I think our last game, though, that we had, it was only our third that we did this year at Innovative Field. I think that was our best one, and being up there in the opportunity in the broadcast booth was really super exciting. And you could see the whole field, which made it a little bit easier.
Best seat in the house.
Yeah, than sitting behind like a fence off to the side. Right. And then, so, yeah, I think you want it to go perfect. You got to realize it's not going to originally, and then just try to figure it out as we go along.
Yeah, and I think too that anything that does go wrong, you take it more to heart as being part of the production than a home viewer would. But yeah, you always want to. I always looked at it as we did our high school sports broadcasts. As every game was an opportunity to pitch a perfect game. You know, never did something up, but you always want to just go everything to go perfectly, or as close to perfect as you can. And when you do nail a broadcast, we used to do multi-camera live streaming, and when the game ended and it went mostly perfect, it really was satisfying. But the other thing about getting to do the broadcasting is you do have the best seat in the house. So we do high school sectional basketball finals, state championship games, sitting right at mid-court, the best seat in the house, and that had to be a great vantage point from the press box at Innovative Field.
Yeah, no, it was definitely a unique experience. We actually got to meet the Red Wings GM as well on the way up to the booth, and it was definitely a learning experience. We actually locked ourselves out of the room at one point, but things like that, you live and you learn. But it was just such a cool experience that I would do again in a heartbeat. And just, you mentioned the view, it's unlike anything else. It's the best seat in the house, directly behind home plate. You can just see how everything plays out.
Talk about the support you got from school administrators when you decided you wanted to do these spring baseball games. Was it tough to get permission to do it? Like, what was that like?
I emailed our athletic director, Dewey Weimer, and that's how we originally started things off. We had meetings with him, basically showing him our equipment and then what he has for us to offer as well. And it was a little bit difficult getting the logistics of everything because we're working with his video equipment and then with our audio. So I think it was a little bit of a challenge in the beginning, but when we did a couple games with him, but then the third game that we did at Innovative Field, that was all through us. We didn't have any school equipment at all. That was all ours, and we own the rights for that one. But it was a little bit challenging to start it off.
What was the listenership like?
We weren't able to do live because of the school Wi-Fi. The connection just wasn't like working for us originally, but we uploaded it after and didn't edit it at all, so it was basically a live broadcast.
Yep.
It was good. I don't know exactly for the games that the school posted, but the ones we did from Innovative Field, there was over I think 150
Yeah.
listeners.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of people to go back and listen after. And actually, I don't know if you remember, the Fairport coach was not able to be there because he was suspended a game. And a bunch of the Fairport players told me he watched the whole entire game just off our broadcast after the conclusion. So that was really unique.
Yeah, it's always exciting too for some of the bigger games that we've done to see like just so many people tuning in. But I always felt like, if there was just one or two people that were really, focused in and into the game, that was enough for me to want to do a good job of calling the play-by-play. But it's definitely exciting when you get hundreds and hundreds of, sometimes over 1,000 people listening to these games, and it's definitely a cool thing. And so I can relate to why you guys have such an interest in it. And I'm sure there's other students, other schools who are interested. I know Palmyra Macedon has a great program where they produce all their games themselves. They have cameramen, producers, announcers, and I think that's something that more schools should look into offering. But let's just talk about, in general, favorite sports broadcasters. Is there anybody that you guys particularly like to listen to call a game or do color on a game?
Throughout the NBA Finals, I've always liked Mike Breen, but I think he just does a great job. And then I'm a big college basketball fan, so listening to Jay Billis and his knowledge of the game is certainly just a great way to connect with the game. And then it's hard for me to leave out Gus Johnson and the energy he brings to every game he does.
Yeah.
I'm with Garrett on one of those. I love Mike Breen for the NBA. I think he's phenomenal. But this may be a little bit biased from my perspective as a Yankee fan, but I love Michael Kay. I listen to his radio show every single day as well. So he's a true inspiration, and I love him.
Yeah, it's for me, when I tune into any sports broadcast, especially college basketball, but it's great to see who's calling the game. And so when you get one of those featured games on ESPN, where you have Jay Billis or Bill Rafferty was always my favorite. I got to meet him when I was in college at Syracuse. After a game, I went down, and Dick Stockton and Bill Rafferty were calling a Syracuse game, and we had a sign that said Bill Rafferty Fan Club, and then rushed down to the court after as they were walking out, and I asked them if they would sign it. I asked Rafferty. Poor Dick Stockton, he was a Syracuse grad. I didn't even really talk to him. I was all like, "Hey, Raf, will you sign this?" And he said, "Sure, come with me." And I walked with them down the tunnel to their limousine, and then he put it on the side of the limousine and signed it. And I'll never forget that. But it's if you're into broadcasting, you certainly appreciate the work that some of these guys do.
I could go on and on with the guys that I love like that. They're, Jim Nance, Kevin Harlan, Bob Costas, Mike Tirico. I think all those guys are just excellent. As once you start doing games as well, you get even more of an appreciation when they're not stumbling across any word. It's complete and utter, just like great analyzing of the game. And I don't know how they do it sometimes, but obviously I want to learn.
Well, the other thing with these guys that I appreciate, and it's something too that I've taken into account, especially calling like a sectional championship or a state championship type of game, is when that game ends, like what your call is going to go down as like the definitive, call. So like if, for instance, in a sectional final, when the kids on that team listen to that game 10, 20 years from now or show their grandparents, whatever your call was when that buzzer went off, that's it, So obviously it's more momentous when it's, Mike Tirico calling, the last putt in a major championship, or Jim Nance at the Masters, or an NCAA championship game. But I listened to a lot of sports broadcasting podcasts and read a lot about it, and a lot of times these guys, they think about that well in advance. And then there's others like Al Michaels, when the hockey team won the Miracle on Ice, that was just off the top of his head, and it's historic. So definitely that stuff's pretty cool. What about other podcasts or sports talk shows? You mentioned Michael Kay. Is there any
I
others?
love the Michael K show. I listen to that 3 to 7 every day on 98.7 ESPN. But
Mhm.
that's the best. It's also simulcast on Yes, which is really good too, because I think getting video
Yeah.
footage of it just makes everything a lot better, and you feel like you can follow it easier. But that's the show that I listen to a lot. Know some other good ones. DiPietro and Rothenberg in the morning on
Mhm.
ESPN. I like them as well. But those are the two that I would say I follow the most.
How about you, Garrett? Anything?
I'm a big fan of SportsCenter. I always have been, just because of the way they can wrap everything up. And I actually really like MLB Tonight and the job they do, especially before the Sunday Night Baseball games. I think some of the other shows on ESPN can become repetitive at times, but
Yeah.
other than that, I like the job that the guys on MLB Tonight are able to do.
So is this something you want to pursue as a career, either you guys? Like, what are your thoughts? You're heading into your senior year. Congratulations, by the way. And next step would be college, I assume. What are your guys' plans?
Well, I've always wanted to play college basketball my whole life, and I still think that's the main goal, but trying
Red
to...
Autry reach out to you yet?
Not yet.
No?
Should. Still waiting. But other than that, I still want to obviously pursue this, and the ultimate goal is to somehow work in sports, and I want to become a sports broadcaster at some point. So I'm trying to find that balance between playing, and maybe I don't end up playing. Maybe I get into a good school like the Newhouse School or something like that I ultimately pursue that. But I definitely think that's the goal whenever my basketball career comes to an end.
Yeah, I'm with Garrett on the second part, not the basketball part, but I want to pursue it. I love the joy and happiness that sports broadcasters brought me and the excitement of the game especially when I was little. Listening to like Sunday Night Football and hearing Al Michaels' voice and just getting that big game feel. That's what I want to bring to other people eventually.
Right.
And no, yeah, I'm definitely going to pursue it in college. I'm looking at colleges like Syracuse at Newhouse, and then Marist as well, which is another good program I know of, that I did a program over there over the summer with, and we actually got to work with an ESPN director, and his name was Chris Rubietzo. He was a great inspiration for me moving into the future, and no, I think that's really going to be exciting coming to college.
Yeah, it's there's so much opportunity in the field now because of streaming. Like if you go back 20, 30 years ago and you thought I want to break into the industry, well, it was almost like you needed a gatekeeper to open the door for you and give you an opportunity, and there wasn't a ton of opportunities. There were radio gigs, for minor league baseball, but now, like, every single college sport is broadcast, and every single minor league team in sport has a broadcasting team, and then it's just there's so many jobs because of the popularity of live streaming. There's just so much opportunity to get your start somewhere, build your way up, and as someone who broadcasts for Finger Lakes 1, but never really broke into or tried to make a career out of broadcasting alone, I'm kind of jealous sometimes of guys that get to embed themselves with a minor league baseball team for a full season, go on the road and have that experience, and there is so much opportunity. So go to college, get some experience there. A place like Syracuse, you're on the student radio station or writing for the student newspaper, and the best of the best get the chance to sit up there in the Carrier Dome and call these games, or go on the road to ACC venues and call away games. So that's a great opportunity. That it's the same in a lot of colleges. You cover your own school, but then after college, you're probably hoping to get in any opportunity, and then on to the next. But ultimately, if you could have a dream job, if you could have a dream job, fast forward 20, 25 years into the future, what would your dream broadcasting job be?
Mine would be to be the voice of the Dallas Cowboys on the Cowboys radio station.
Not the Yankees?
I mean, obviously, yes, the Yankees, if that opportunity was open, but if I had to pick one job, I would do the voice of the Cowboys.
No, your dad's had a big influence on you, and I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I know he is. He always drafts. His biggest fault is he picks too many Cowboys in the fantasy football draft, and then they let him down.
I don't know, the Seneca County Seminoles, they've been going on some championship runs of late.
It's true. You've done your research on the FLFL. So, Garrett, how about you? Dream job?
Obviously, I love basketball, so it'd be hard to pass down something like the NBA Finals, but I think ultimately March Madness on those games. And then if I got the opportunity to ever call the Final Four, I think that would have to be the pinnacle of what I would want to do.
All right. Well, usually on this podcast, we do some quick fire questions unrelated to broadcasting, unrelated to sports, but just to kind of get an insight into, your lives as high school students and teenagers here, so quick fire questions. Don't think too much about it. We'll start going left to right, so I'll ask you guys the same question. First of all, favorite restaurant to eat at?
Favorite restaurant? Oh, boy. I'm a big fan. Jeez. Call me off
These
guard.
are quick fire.
Quick fire. You know what? Right now, like, I'd say my grandfather's house. That's where I get the best.
Oh, there
food.
you go. Yeah, good ravioli, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Garrett?
There's this place down south called, I forget the name of it, but it's like a seafood buffet called Captain George's, actually, so I'd probably say that.
Yeah, all right. Favorite breakfast cereal?
Lucky Charms.
Okay, you like the marshmallows.
Yeah, I got one.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, yeah, that is one of my favorites, too. What state that you haven't been to in the U.S. that you would like to visit?
I would like to check it out west with a lot of the states, but I'd say California.
California? Okay.
Always heard everything's bigger in Texas, so I'd like to check
Texas,
it out.
okay. Now, you guys also lived through the pandemic as high school students. You're the same age as my daughter, you guys, and so I think it was like 8th and 9th grade.
Yeah.
What was the best part of that?
I guess not getting up and going to school every day.
Yeah, right.
It was a nice break, but then it got old pretty quick.
Yeah.
I think just getting all your work done Monday, Tuesday, and then instead of in school Thursday or Friday, you could go hit the golf course or do whatever you want.
Worst part of the pandemic?
Not seeing friends, not being with people all the time. I like to go talk to people, and then
Sure.
obviously having to take it away was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I just felt like I was glued to the computer screen all day, and everything was just online, and just wasn't the experience I was
Yeah, now you played basketball during the pandemic too, and so what was that like? Empty gymnasiums, or
Yeah, so working out in the fall before the season, the consensus was that we weren't going to have any season at all. But we were fortunate enough to get a 10-game season, so half the length. I was on JV that year, but it was better than nothing. But playing with masks was certainly something I never want to do it again.
Yeah.
And then just 2 spectators per person was definitely weird, but it beat doing nothing.
Better than nothing, right? Thanksgiving dinner, favorite part?
I love the turkey and the mashed potatoes mixed together with corn and gravy on the top.
So you like to make like a
I love
Thanksgiving
it.
garbage
Oh yeah,
plate.
you mix it together. It's the best, and you gotta pour a ton of gravy.
All right, how about you, Garrett?
Probably the football more than the food.
Okay.
He likes to watch the Cowboys, right?
So now I'm going to go to you first for the remaining ones because it's not fair to Michael to make him come up with it first. So we'll start with you, Garrett. Favorite band or musician?
Pitbull.
Okay. All right.
I would say Morgan Wallen right now.
Okay. Favorite teacher at Victor?
It's a tough one. Probably Mr. Kataya.
What class is that?
It's like a sports marketing class.
Okay.
Mine's Mr. Purdy. Me and Garrett were in the same class. That was, if you're listening to this, Mr. Purdy, the greatest class of all time.
Which is what?
It was U.S. history. AP
Oh, nice.
U.S. history, yeah.
Okay. All right. Imagine you're 30 years old, so about 12 years from now, where you picture yourself living?
That's a tough one for me because
Who knows what the future brings, right?
Yeah, I sort of want to go play overseas if I can, but by that time I don't know if that would still be an option. So
Maybe Turkey?
yeah,
In the Turkish League?
I'd say probably living down south, maybe in Florida somewhere.
Okay.
Dream, ideally. Put me out right on beautiful Cayuga Lake.
Yeah, there you go. Gotta love the Finger Lakes, right?
Yeah.
Favorite home cooked meal?
Not much for home cooking, but that's a tough one. My mom makes this really good shrimp dish, so I'd probably say that.
Okay.
The best thing I can make is a grilled cheese. That's about as far as I can go. But my dad's a good cook. He'll make some.
Is he?
Yeah, he'll make some salmon sometimes. Actually,
On
had
the
a great
grill
steak.
or on the stove?
On the grill, great steak dinner last week.
Wow.
It was wonderful.
Yeah, I didn't get the invite. But your dad's cooking more than your mom, huh?
I would say so with like unique stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
especially on the grill.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I got as far as the quick fire questions. Really appreciate you guys coming in. Got exams next week or anything like that?
I'm already done. My last one
Oh,
was
wow.
yesterday.
Summer vacation
Yep.
underway,
I got one on Thursday.
and that's it.
Yep, that's the last one.
Any plans for the summer?
We're looking to do some more broadcasting opportunities. Garrett knows one of his friends that actually asked us to do like a wiffle ball league.
Oh, wow.
Or a tournament, and
Mhm.
actually might get paid for that, so that'd be awesome. But obviously, just making more podcasts, having fun, and just playing sports outside.
Yep. And then getting ready for one last year of high school.
Exactly.
That's got to be crazy, right? To think that you're seniors next year, and then that's it.
Yeah, definitely what Michael said. I think we might try to call a couple of baseball games just over the TV or whatever, just for the experience. But other than that, just a lot of basketball.
One basketball-related question. It's funny that we have you up here. We didn't talk about the state championship and the great season the basketball team had in Victor. First sectional title since 1978. First state title ever, right? So, and then the bus broke down the way home. But how do you head into this season now? After all that success last season, like what are the goals and expectations that you personally have heading into your senior year for basketball?
Well, I think we have the chance to be even better this year. This offseason's been off to a slow start because we've had a bunch of injuries, and we graduated some of our key players, but obviously last year was something that we'd like to replicate. So we're just trying to get better every day, but I think that we have the talent to do it, and we have the coaching, and so I think we just got to, continue to move forward and see where we go.
Anybody you guys want to thank while you got the opportunity?
I'd like to thank you for letting us come on today.
Sure.
This was
Well,
great.
it was a pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to thank you. This is an amazing opportunity.
What about in terms of at home? Anybody that's going to help you along the way, either in sports or in broadcasting or just in general mentorship?
My parents have a lot, I think.
Mhm.
Just like letting me go chase a dream, probably, I'd say. A lot of people are hesitant on a job that's really hard to get and go after, but having support and being like, you can go chase a dream and have fun with it, I think
Right.
it's a great thing to have.
Yeah. Well, do what you love, and you never work a day in your life, is what they say. So I'm a proponent of that.
Yeah, definitely my parents. They don't really set limits on what I can do. They'll drive me anywhere. They'll do whatever it takes for me to chase my dreams. And
A lot of AAU.
yeah, the AAU circuit, the elite camps, it's chaos. We're driving all over almost every weekend. And so it's hard to thank them enough for all they do. And then for Michael, for allowing us to have this podcast. And I've always been I didn't really want to do a podcast myself. So just with him being the opportunity to call all these games.
Were you hesitant when he asked you to join you in this? Were you like, no, I don't want to do that? Were you a little afraid to kind of put yourself out there? Like,
It was more of a joint idea, I would say. I think, like, I'd kept saying, like, oh, I want to do this, and everyone's like, you need to start a podcast then. And so then Michael and I just sort of saw each other one day in school, and we sort of ran the idea by each other, and we were like, 100% we should do this, and so it just took off from there.
Yeah, and vice versa, Garrett. If it's rare to find somebody with like the same passion of you, especially going into a career that's sports broadcasting in high school. So, and he has the same aspiration. So, getting out as much tape as we can to put towards for college, I think, is really exciting and fun. And having somebody to do it with, I wouldn't be able to do it without him. And doing the baseball games was just a blast.
all right. Well, thanks a lot, fellas. Have fun this summer. Good luck in your senior year. Maybe we'll have you back in. Maybe we'll be able to collaborate somehow this year. Really exciting to find two guys that are passionate in something that I'm also passionate about. So appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
So thanks for joining us for this edition of the FL1 Sports Podcast. You can reach out to the show by sending an email to contact@fingerlakes1.com. For all our latest headlines and local content on the fingerlakes1.com local network, visit our homepage, download our free Android or iPhone app, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and look for us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts online. Thanks for checking us out, and we'll see you next time.